computer. There we go. Is it recording? I'm not sure if it's recording. Oh, I think it is recording. Okay. Hopefully it's recording. If it's not recording, I will cry. Okay, cool. Hi, friends. Welcome to the portfolio info session hosted by PMC, WIA, and ACM SIGGRAPH. We're so happy you're here. Yeah, I know it's a stressing time for all of us, but hopefully through this presentation, you'll be more prepared as you submit your portfolios for our 3 programs. But yeah, without further ado, I'll introduce myself. I'm Bruno Aquino. I'm the PMC president. Angela and Sarah, I don't know if you want to present yourselves as well.
Yeah, I'm Angela. I'm the WIA president.
And then I'm Sarah. I'm the SIGGRAPH president. Nice to meet you all.
Yeah, we also have some lovely officers as well that will be talking about their experiences in applying for these programs as well. So be on the lookout for that as we head on to this presentation. But yeah, without further ado, we're gonna go ahead and get started. If you do have any questions, we do ask that you ask them in the Q&A chat that we have on Zoom. And then some of our officers will be answering those questions as those come up. We'll also have a section towards the end in case you want to ask any questions like verbally. And yeah, so let's talk about portfolios now.
Cool. So basically a portfolio device, it's scary. It seems stressful, and I'm not gonna lie to you, some points it will be stressful, but nobody likes them, and like all of us have had to go through the same thing. So it's super nerve-wracking, we get it, but no one's trying to intentionally make you guys fail or like reject you guys. Everybody in the department wants to see you succeed and do your best and like get a job in the industry at the end of the day. So this is just to prepare you as well. Remember to use your resources. You guys are always welcome to call, email, or meet with faculty advisors. If you guys have them in your classes, you guys are also welcome to like talk to your professors and ask for their feedback. You're also welcome to ask in like the Discord servers of all of our respective clubs for any advice in the respective like portfolio review channels. And also, since it's digital only, be sure to like photograph your work, back up any like important files you have, basically. Clean up some and do some like minor edits. You guys have like 2-ish weeks to do some final edits and everything. So definitely like this last week and a half, you guys have cleaned up those portfolio submissions based on like the feedback you've gotten so far, and don't be afraid to use Photoshop to edit them to look nicer if needed. Make sure to submit it beforehand. So we'll talk about the deadline, but make sure that you guys don't apply like the last 5 minutes. There have been instances where the site has like gotten overloaded and some freak accident internet connection doesn't work and like you're not able to submit it before the deadline. So just be mindful. I would suggest submitting it like a day in advance. And then remember to read the instructions when applying. They'll reiterate every single thing that we're talking about today, but just as a good reminder, it's always good to reread the instructions. But yeah, and then just make sure if you need it, you're always welcome to talk to a professor or an advisor with your portfolio. But yeah.
I know that was a lot of information, but just remember, breathe. It's going to be okay. So there are going to be 3 portfolios, as you know: illustration, entertainment art and animation, and game art and animation, and in immersive media game. So on this slide, on the left side, where it says criteria to apply, that's going to apply to all of them. And on the right side is where it's going to be the individual submissions. So the portfolios are going to be due October 3rd at 5 p.m. Again, as Angela said, please don't wait like 5 minutes beforehand. Be prepared. Try to submit it a day before. In terms of the criteria to apply, make sure that you have 30 to 96 units completed towards your degree. The expectations for this are a little bit different if you're a transfer student. So if you're a transfer student and you're over this limit, I would talk to your advisor to make and see if you could still apply. Most likely you can. And then you will have to complete the art classes 103, 104, 107A, 107B with at least a 3.0 or better GPA cumulative. And then you'll have to submit your TDA, which is the Titan Degree Audit. We'll go over later and how you can look into that. In terms of the entertainment, art, and animation, you're going to have 10 to 12 examples for your best work submitted in PDF format. It's important. Make sure it is PDF. You can transfer it if you do it in slides or in docs. Illustration, you're going to need 20 examples of your best artwork, also in PDF format, as well as an in-person assessment. And for the game, you'll have 10 to 12 examples of your best work submitted in PDF format and an artist statement. This can be some personal experience, or I would say your expectations of what you want to do with your, like, going into the major for game. It doesn't have to be that long.
Now we're going to go on to how you actually submit your portfolio, because it can be very, very confusing and very stressing. So that's why we recommend looking at the instruction beforehand, so you're ready to go and you don't encounter any issues. And that's why we also recommend submitting it not right up as the deadline is approaching. So how do you submit your portfolio? So we're going to go over like the steps real quick. First off, you're going to go to your student portal. You're going to log in with your credentials. And then on the left-hand search bar, once you log in, you're going to type scholarships. It's kind of weird, but technically it's a scholarship application. So you're going to type up scholarship and you're going to click on that one right there. And then after that, you're going to click on open scholarship application. So this is the page that it'll bring you after you search it up on your student portal. And you're going to click this big blue button that says open scholarship application. That'll bring you directly to your application. And depending on which one you want to apply to, you're going to click on start application on any of the 3 programs. All 3 of them are going to be listed. So game, entertainment or animation, and illustration are all going to be there. So you just click on whichever you want to apply to, and then you'll follow all the steps necessary. It'll ask you to submit like different personal information, academic information, and also what's it called? Your actual portfolio in PDF format. And yeah, you fill out the application and then you submit it. There's like a little progress bar that says like what's it called? It tells you how much progress you have. And also a reminder that there is a time limit. No, there's not a time limit to submit, but your session does expire. So if you take more than 45 minutes to submit your portfolio, it'll ask you to refresh the page and you'll lose all progress in your current application. So please, please, please make sure you have like all the necessary information ready to go, and you don't just leave it there hanging.
So basically, just to follow up real quick with Ramon, for the time, like the session limit you have on your application, I would suggest writing your like artist statement on a separate Google Doc or like a Microsoft Doc, whatever you use, and then copying and pasting that onto your application when you're ready to submit. That way you don't lose any information in case your session time's out. But yeah, I recommend that. So definitely do that. And then how do you check your GPA? So if you go to your student portal that Ramon just showed you, instead of going to the left-hand search side, if you go into the Titan Online panel, there's going to be a bunch of different options, but it looks like that, and it says student homepage. You're going to click on your academic records after you get to that page, and you'll be able to see all of your information. So this also goes for like your transcripts and like your graduation status, but what you're going to want to click on in order to see your GPA is the academic summary. So that will tell you everything that you need, and you just want to make sure that your GPA, not the remote grades leaking, but you're going to want to make sure that you have the adequate GPA to apply. Cool. Yeah, and then so if you don't know, what the fuck is your Titan degree audit? So basically, if you guys don't know what your TDA is, it basically shows you what all your like classes you need to take are, your requirements. And so this is your TDA, and you can also check that through your student portal. But yeah, definitely like if you're confused about it, it's a great opportunity to meet with your faculty advisor, and they can walk you through reading your TDA. They can walk you through like how to choose your classes based on your TDA. So if you don't know what your TDA is, definitely like ask an advisor for help too for the first time. But yeah, so this is how you get to your TDA. Yeah, okay. So I was like, am I on the right slide? But you're gonna go back to your student homepage and then click on the Titan degree audit. That will take you to your TDA page, and it's gonna look really weird. You might get really confused because it's gonna be like request an audit, and you're like, what does that mean? All you have to do really is click one button, click run current program, and it'll process your current like classes, your current TDA. And you'll be able to like kind of see what your TDA requires from there. And then Sarah, do you want to talk about the last part of your TDA? Or I can finish it too.
Sure.
Cool.
So for the TDA, there is 2 versions of it, which is the HTML and the PDF form. I believe the HTML is the default one it gives you, so you're gonna have to change it to run as a PDF. And that's the one you're gonna be turning in for your portfolios. Once you open up the view audit, you'll see the download button on the audit report, as you can see in that red box right there. Download that and then turn it in. And you're all done. You have your TA, your GPA, your portfolio, and you're ready to submit.
Cool. Thanks, Sarah. So we're gonna go into each individual like BFA real quick. I know you guys might have seen the faculty presentation already, so we're just gonna skim over everything really quickly so we can get to student experiences. But yeah. Next slide. So portfolios for illustration majors, all portfolios, like we said before, are due October 3rd at 5 p.m. And all of the BFAs have the same class requirements. So again, that's Art 103, Art 104, Art 107A, Art 107B, and then Art 117 Life Drawing. So just make sure that when you submit your digital portfolio, you download it as a PDF. So they're only going to accept PDFs, and you have 20 original examples of your work. And make sure you label it first name or your last name first. Sorry, last name, first name, and then your portfolio. The difference with illustration portfolios versus EAA or game is that you do have to attend an in-class assessment that's around 60 minutes that will tell you about drawing exercises, or like that will test you. It's like basically an art test. Cool. But yeah, so we're gonna go over a lot of like examples, but basically the portfolio requirements for BFA is 10 finished artwork illustrations. So this can include anything from like anatomy drawings perspective, black and white samples, color samples, and then any form of medium that like you would like to use is acceptable. And then 10 other examples of things that are in your sketchbook. So like things that like are fast sketches and like literally anything in your sketchbook you can show. So we're going to show you guys some examples, and then also kind of talk about what specifically you guys can include. So I'm going to pass this on to Teeny and Vianne for the next section, and we're going to break down like what kind of images that you guys are welcome to like have.
Should I do this part then?
Yeah, Vianne, if you can, that'd be cool.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so for the illustration portfolio, you want to have 10 examples of your finished artwork and 10 examples of your sketchbook. And I think that's kind of confusing for most people because they're like, what constitutes finish versus sketch? And you can actually put digital sketches on the sketchbook part, but I'd say the difference is that for your finished artwork, you want to have like well-rounded illustrations that show as much of the skills that they're asking for. So I'd say when you're choosing your finished pieces, you'd want to like compile all the artwork that you're considering for it, and then just start making notes like, does this show this skill that they're asking for? So for example, now they gave us like a more a specific way of choosing the artwork, because before it was kind of like confusing. So now they gave us this guideline that is like useful. So 2 observational pieces that show form, color, and rendering. 2 pieces that focus on life drawing, full body gesture, 1 human portrait piece, 1 landscape piece, 1 industrial design piece, 1 narrative piece, and 2 pieces of your choice. This is not, I don't believe this is actually on the like the guideline, like the official guideline. This is more like a suggestion of the kind of pieces that you may want to choose. So I think if you don't have all of this, it's probably fine, but you're gonna want to like grab all your artwork and just start making notes. Like, does this have the skill that they're asking for? Is this a landscape? Do I have a portrait? And then if you get as much of those things that they're asking for and you put them in the portfolio, you're gonna have a well-rounded portfolio. So try to include as many diverse skills as you can. And for your sketchbook, that's like the part where you show like the things that you like doing. You want to show like as much of your creativity there. So I'd say, like, you know, if you like drawing cartoons, that's like the best place to put it. Or like if you like drawing people, if you're like drawing like, I don't know, fashion, all those things. Yeah, and you also can do like literally you can collage your sketches together. So if that's something you want to do that turns out pretty well, I'd say the most important thing about the illustration portfolio over and over again is take good pictures. A lot of times I see really poor quality pictures, and that really takes away from your artwork because first of all, showing that you have good presentations, like as an illustrator, is like a really good skill. So if your picture looks yellow, you should take it in a different lighting or fix it on Photoshop. If the light is like hitting and like it's a graphite drawing and now it's like causing a weird reflection, try to get that fixed and show the artwork to your friends, like show your portfolio to your friends, because maybe you really want like one piece, but maybe it's just you're attached to it and other people could tell you, actually this one, I like this one better. So yeah. And if you're like putting environments, I'd say something that might help you, because I see a lot of people don't do this, is having a clear distinction of your foreground, your midground, and your background. If you have that distinction in your pieces for the environments, it'll really elevate them. Teeny, I don't know if you want to add anything.
Yeah, I think that you did a great job kind of introducing that. I think one thing to note is that the breakdown that we just gave is not completely strict. You don't have to, I know you mentioned that at the end, but just to reiterate, you definitely do not have to have every single person or every single thing that is on that list. You don't have to check every single box. It's really more of a general thing to, as a structure, to help people kind of format things. But that being said, they are looking for those specific skills that were mentioned on there. So yeah, these are some examples from our officers from PMC and WIA. These are some pieces, some examples of more finished work for the first section, the creative section. So you see that not everything here has to be completely realistic. It doesn't have to be a perfect still life. But everything that you see here is showing form, it's showing lighting, it's showing perspective, and it's really just showcasing that you have the skills that they are looking for in order to complete the classes that they want you to complete. And then these are some other examples from some of our other lovely officers. And you can see that these are different styles, different kinds of studies. The one in the top left is more of a graphic style. They really like seeing your thought process. That's something that both of the instructors who are reviewing this really care about, is seeing you as a person, seeing your style be reflected in your art, and seeing how you play with different things. So that's why something even as simple and stylized as those tigers up there is something that they would absolutely love to see from you. And then, Vian, if you want to take this part.
Yeah, these are the life studies, right? Like your life drawing class will probably help you a lot in this one. And this is a part where you really want to make sure that you take good pictures. Maybe possibly with natural light. And if you don't have a good camera, ask your friend who has a good phone, maybe, so that you make sure that it looks okay. Yeah, I don't have much to add to this part. This is really good. These are really good examples of artwork. Mine did not look this good, I'll tell you. And this is the sketchbook part. I really love Camila's sketches for the portfolio. I feel like her portfolio is like the perfect example of the kind of stuff that you want to put, because it's like really good pictures or scans. I'm not sure. They look really good. But you know, you're like, you want to include like the things that you like doodling in your free time, and but you also want to make sure that you're like showcasing still the skills that they're looking for. So here we have some architecture, some live drawings, some characters, um, even like skeletal studies. That's really cool. Uh, and yeah, you're like kind of showing your thought process when you're creating illustrations. Um, yeah, these are really cool. Yeah. So yeah, you're just like it like here it's like showing a really good sense of style. So um I say if you have a distinct style, or if you have really clean skills for life drawing, those are probably the two things that are going to help you the most. Is like maybe you don't have you don't feel like you found your style yet, but if you're showing that you know how you have good principles, you have good foundations, that'll definitely help you. And maybe on the other hand, if you don't have like super solid foundations, but you have like your own style and it looks interesting, that will help you. So there's like two portfolios I usually see. It's like really polished skills or really cool style. So yeah. So you don't have to have both. Even if you just, or if you have both, you're a god. But like if you have one or you have the other, you're probably good.
Yeah, and here's some more examples of sketchbook. A couple of these are actually mine. The cat one specifically is my cat Firefly. And you can see there that I was experimenting with different mediums. I was experimenting with different poses. And I personally think that it's fun to write little notes of what you're doing. And I feel like it really just shows the faculty like who you are as a person. And that's really what they want to see. They want to see who you are. They want to see your unique artistic abilities. And they want to peek into your life. So like I put little meat Firefly, and then I put that she loves her carrot because she was biting on it. It's one of her toys. And when you do stuff like that, it really does make you stand out, because it attaches a personality, and it attaches just your unique perspective on life to your name and to your art. And I think that that's a really good thing to have in your portfolio, specifically in the sketches, because the sketches are allowed to be a little bit less formal. I wouldn't recommend doing that in the creative section, but with your sketches, you absolutely can. And then we have an in-class assessment. Illustration is the only major that requires this. So if you're planning on going to illustration, this is something you need to pay attention to. If not, then this isn't something you have to worry about. But the in-class assessment is something that you will sign up for when you submit your portfolio. There are 2 dates here. There's Thursday, October 5th, 2023, obviously, from 11:50 to 12:50 in Mod 108. And then the other one is the next day on that Friday. And the assessment is pretty, it's pretty standard throughout the years. I don't think it changes all that much. But when I applied, it was definitely a source of stress. And I just want to reassure everyone here that it's really not that serious. It's something that they want to basically just have you prove that you can do the basics. It's not weighed all that heavily. That being said, obviously you want to come try your best, make sure you got a good sleep the night before. And the way that the in-person assessment goes is you'll come in, all you're bringing is pencils, they will supply everything else, and it's 60 minutes, and they will ask you different prompts for different things to draw. They are going to test you on different things. They're going to test you on your perspective. That was a big one for when I took my assessment last year. And then they want to see anatomy. They want to see that you can be creative. And so some of the examples of the prompts that I personally got were, there's a man and he's riding a skateboard and he looks really angry and he's very strong and he's running towards you and he has no shirt on and just shorts. Draw a gesture drawing of that man. You have 3 minutes. It does not have to be polished. It does not have to be perfect. You just have to show that you have an understanding of these basics. So yeah, that's really what I want everyone to get out of this, is that the in-person assessment can be scary. It sounds scary. Just do your best. You will be okay.
I believe that's the last part for illustration. So if anyone has any last feedback, advice, tips, and tricks, now's the time. Cool. In that case, and you, everyone else can also like add stuff towards the end if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Towards the end, it's also a good time. There's also the Q&A chat, for that part. But next up is entertainment, art, and animation. So I'll be conducting that part. So portfolios for entertainment, art, and animation majors, they're both due October 3rd at 5 p.m., just like every other portfolio. Again, same core classes apply for this. R103, R104, R107A, R107B, and Art 117. All same core classes between all 3 majors. So if you finish all of these core classes, you can apply to all 3 majors. And similar to illustration, also please submit a digital portfolio, PDF format only. It can be done on Google Slides. It can be done in Photoshop, whichever you prefer, as long as it's PDF format. It has to be less than 10 megabytes. With 10 to 12 examples of original work. And again, please make sure to label your last name, first name, and then your portfolio.pdf. There's 3 main sections for the portfolio requirements for entertainment, art, and animation. The first one is observational drawings. They usually ask for 3 to 4 examples, and these are basically drawings and sketches from real life that show an understanding of 2D design principles, which mainly include perspective, shape, form, lighting, and construction. Form and line and structure are very, very important in your observational drawing. So please make sure that that is one of your main focuses. Also, for example, the next section is figurative and life drawing. They also ask 3 to 4 examples, and usually you want to capture the human form, both nude and clothed. in a variety of gestures and then dynamic poses. And your example should have a solid understanding of anatomy, motion, mood, shape, form, and construction again. And then the last section is creative expression. Again, 3 to 4 examples. And usually this is just any artwork that's related within any of your animation interests. There's lots of things you can do for this section. Some examples include sequential art, comics, 2D and 3D animation, prop designs, environments, illustrations, concept art, character designs, computer graphics, and much, much more. There's like a big world of animation out there that you can focus on. So anything that really interests you in animation, that should be in your creative expression. So we're gonna go on to some examples. So here are some observational drawings. So for example, like this one shows a clear perspective. They really, really love perspective in your observational drawings. If, for example, if your perspective is wonky, they will know. So please make sure that your perspective is on point. You're using like lines, the points and all that stuff. Your what's it called? Vanishing points and stuff like that to make sure that your perspective makes sense. And please do not pull the perspective out of your ass. Like they don't want that. Make sure it's like use a ruler and all that stuff. Make sure your perspective is on point. Then for example, like for other observational drawings, still lifes are very important as well. You want to make sure that you show like an understanding of the form, of the lighting. So for example, like on this image right here, you can see like the light hitting this metal horn. You can clearly tell it's made out of some type of metal. So please make sure that your lighting is on point. Make sure you're following like the direction of the light and everything. Your values, your shades and all that stuff, make sure they look good. Here are some more examples. You can include painted pieces in your portfolio as well. So if you have some still lifes that you painted in your beginning painting class, you can include that in your portfolio as well. Again, make sure the values, the lighting is there. For example, these 2 pieces are very good because they show form and shape only through line work and not necessarily shading. So for example, like on this piece, you can tell the shape of it only through line. So that's very important. This cat, these beautiful cats, you can tell the fur, you can like tell the fur, the texture of the cats using the line work. So that's also very good. And then also like they can always welcome like portraits in your observational section. Again, make sure your portraits look good. Make sure they don't look wonky. Make sure your anatomy is there. So that's that for observational drawings. For figurative and life drawings, I know the requirements have changed across the years. In previous years, they really used to focus on motion and gesture. However, this year, like it's more focused on construction, anatomy, making sure your shapes are correct. So whenever you do your life drawings, I would encourage you not to submit like what's it called, like 30-second gestures, because usually those ones tends to be a little bit more on the loose side and a little bit more messy. But you want to make sure your figurative life drawings have that shape and form in your life drawing. So for example, like on this example, you can tell like the shape of the leg, you can tell where the leg is placed, like compared to the rest of the body. You can like feel the shape of the rectangle shape of the torso and stuff like that. But you also want to keep that sense of flow, gesture. So you don't want to keep your life drawings too stiff, but you also don't want to make them too loose. And then here are more examples of different types of life drawing that you can include. Life drawing with clothes are completely fine as well. Again, if you're including clothes, you also want to make sure that you're capturing the form even throughout, even with clothes on. So you can still tell like where the leg is flowing in this piece. You can tell where the torso is. You can kind of like, you can feel out where the torso and the hips begin, and then they start like turning into the legs and stuff like that. Life drawing, you can also include like a little bit more rendered pieces. You want to keep like possibly like only a couple of render pieces, so not that many. So you want to have like a variety of like render pieces and then like a little bit more loose ones. So for example, in this render piece, render piece, they were playing with color, they were playing with lighting, with shades, values. So that's completely fine as well. I know some questions some people ask is like, can I include different like multiple life drawings in one page? Yes, you can. Make sure it's not like 20 drawings in one slide, but you want to make sure there's like you include certain examples in there. And then here are more examples of like more life drawing you can do. This piece, you can tell like the anatomy is there, the anatomy of the back, the anatomy of the muscles and stuff like that. Here are more like what's it called, break down those forms. So for example, this is hands. You can also like label how many minutes you take, how much time you take in your drawings. So our faculty has like a sense of like, oh, this was done in like 1 minute, this was done in 2 minutes, this was done in like 5 minutes. And then also this is a very good example of showing gesture and motion in life drawing. So for example, this is basically like the breakdown of an animation in this case, but this was done through life drawings. So you can tell that there's emotion here, even if it's just like still drawings, because technically, like if you think about it, this could be like a frame of a animation. So this is like very good because it shows motion. It shows like the person like kicking and like doing all those crazy actions. So this is very good for life drawing as well. So try to be creative in your life drawing section when it comes to that. And then we're going to move on to creative expression. Creative expression, again, can look so many different ways. One of the things that I really stress to students is that everyone's portfolio is going to look different. So don't worry if like your friend's portfolio looks a little bit different from yours. They're all gonna look different because all your interests are different as well. Everyone has different passions. So for example, this was like character design, exploring shapes, exploring like forms and gestures and stuff like that. This man is a little bit more stocky. This person is like more thin on the thinner side and stuff like that. So explore, if you're gonna do character design, explore shapes, explore how you communicate character through shapes. Here's more of like a narrative piece over here. This shows a narrative in one single image. So you can include pieces like that. This is a little bit more, this is another character design that's a little bit more developed with colors. So you can play with colors in there. Here's like a turnaround character. So again, you want to show your thought process, and the turnaround is definitely a good option if you want to include character design, because it shows our faculty members that you're thinking about what your character looks like in different angles. So that's very good. Here's more examples of different pieces done by some of the officers. So for example, if you want to include more illustrative stuff, that's completely okay. Here's another character turnaround with some expressions and gestures and stuff like that. That tells a little bit more about who the characters are. So that's completely good. Here's some face expressions. Here are more like narrative pieces. This is more like sequential art, telling a story through just a few images. More examples, character design, what's it called? Face expressions, more illustrated pieces. Everything is welcome in animation. So we have like different interests, that's completely fine. More stuff. If you like storyboarding, include storyboarding as well. Like they don't have to be fully fleshed out. But you do want to make sure that your storyboard makes sense. Usually you will be including like one page. So you want to make sure you tell a story through that single page. Don't just include like 2 panels and that's it, because they won't tell a story. Make sure like if you include a storyboard, make sure it's the whole storyboard if possible. Here's more illustrated pieces. So anything is welcome in animation. Here's like some examples of animated pieces that you can include. So for example, this is a test reel, basic stuff, balls bounce across. And then here's like the falling leaf. All of that is welcome. I know some of you might be doing that in your principles of animation class, so that's welcome. Also like feel free to like do something in animation that's not like out there or like as well known. I know at least from in my experience applying for the animation program, I did not have any animated pieces, but I included a music video, which I really enjoy. Oopsie. I'm not gonna show the volume, but it was purely like a music video that I made with only letters and an illustration, and our faculty really liked that. So you can include like different stuff, whatever you're interested, it works for animation. And then, oh shit, let me go back. Oh, and that's it for animation. Does anyone have any other tips, tricks, or advice for animation?
Do you know if they're still doing this thing? Because I remember when I applied to animation, they really didn't want to see colored art unless it was like they didn't want to see color unless it was the part that was like the creative part.
Yeah,
Do they still have that?
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty
they don't use
sure,
it.
what's it called? For life drawing?
From when I did it, at least. I haven't checked the new requirements.
Yeah,
I
as
mean,
long as the color
Oh.
doesn't mess with values and
Is this your
shapes,
bowl?
like isn't too distracting, it should be okay. I know for example for
Do you have a bowl, or should I put these in a
Pedro, shut the fuck up.
I applied through Kathy, and I got in through her, and I asked her this question, and she said that it was like she didn't have any issues with color, so I don't think that that's as much of a problem as it used to be, at least.
yeah,
That'd be my 2 cents.
yeah. As long as it's like, as long as the color doesn't like distract or, you know, yeah, like subtract the value of your piece, it should be completely okay. Don't feel free to like mess with color as long as the color theory is correct. Color theory is very important. So you want to learn color theory and how it like interacts with lights, shadows and stuff like that. So as long as that is okay, it should be good to go. Again, if you have any more questions, you can also reach out to an advisor. If you still have like any doubts, confusions, any questions regarding that. But besides that, we're gonna move on to game. Sarah, it's your turn.
Okay, hello. I'm going to be talking about the game portfolio, game or animation and immersive media. So much of the requirements are the same for illustration and entertainment and animation. So you're going to, sorry. So it's going to be due October 3rd at 5 p.m., maximum of 96 units. If you're a transfer student, that is, you can probably get a pass for that. The required classes are the same. Something that is important that I'm not sure if we went over is that the way you submit your portfolio, make sure you have the last name, first name portfolio. I'm not sure how big of a stickler they are for that, but when I went to my advisor, they like, really made sure I knew that it had to be in this format. And then for the artist statement, it's going to be a 500 words. Mine was more personal, but like my art journey, but I know in other statements, it'll be about like what you want to get out of like joining this concentration, like your goals, your what you want to get out of it, stuff like that. For the requirements, for these, I think I'm going to pass it to Janet to talk about her experience in these different sections.
I think for observational drawings, it could be speaking like any type of still life. Just show your technique and skills in the drawings. You want me to read off the slide, or you want me to like talk about it?
You could talk about like what you did for these sections, like what you did for observation, stuff like that.
Yeah, for observation, I drew like a like a still life. My still life had like a teapot and like a little china set. It was simple and I did it in pastel. It just showed that I had like good like perspective of the drawing, the technique, like it looks realistic enough that you can like read off the drawing. For the figurative and life drawing, I mostly use my work from the figure drawing classes. Whatever I use in my figure drawing classes, I just use those, just drawing from models. And for artistic and techno works, I use more of my own work. For instance, I took a picture of a scene and I cut out a piece of it, and I like redesigned it to my own style. That could be part of it, of your artistic techno works. A lot of you are asking like, does there need to be any 3D work? Not really, but it would be really nice and helpful just to show your interest that you're into this program. Because I know like a lot of people don't have like the resources for it, but it'll help really nice. If you don't have it, you can use other projects or other art forms that relates to the 3D work, like showing like any like artistic Photoshop, anything like that. That's all I got.
Thank you.
Mhm.
So kind of building off what she said for the artistic thing, like you don't have to have the 3D works, but what they're looking for is that your understanding of the 3D space. So you can have like your observational drawings show how you built those, like you can, that the boxes that you would draw around to do this perspective, they kind of also want to see that. But they just want to make sure you have an understanding of artwork in a 3D space. Going into observational drawings, these are pretty good examples. This was Danny's work, is the one with the paper. It is something that they went back and forth on, the advisors, on whether or not they wanted to add it. And she said that, like Andy said not to put it in, but Carol said to put it in. But this is something where like it is like showing the spaces, because you can see how she is kind of building it out and building it. This is what they want to see, like it's back and forth, but don't be afraid to add in like experimental stuff. Here's some more observational drawings, a lot of paintings. It can be in any media. You're just looking and getting the perspective. Figurative life drawings. Just like Janet, I also used a lot of drawings for my figurative classes, life drawing classes. You want to make sure that your lines are clear. You can have a lot of line weight to kind of define your spaces. Shading is also really helpful for defining the areas. So in here, there's a lot of, they're not exactly finished works, but they are clear on what they're trying to show. So here are some more examples, especially the one at the bottom, of where they're showing clearly that these pieces, like some arms are in the back, where the arms are placed, where the legs are, where the muscles are defined with the line weight. These are something if you're going back and you want to clear up so that people know like where you're defining these muscles and stuff with your line weight, or with shading if you are doing a charcoal or render drawing. So here's some more examples of those. You can also add in close studies so that the close also shows off like the movement of the body. they also really like that. So adding in your like sketches and your figure drawings that are more sketchy, but show the movement of the body is also really helpful. But going into technical artwork, this is where you can add in your 3D work, but also your understanding of the 3D space. So if you're doing drawings that where you're studying how to draw something, you could also add that in here. But these are examples of like how people were doing the 3Ds. So here's some more examples of sculpting and environment and character design. This is something you can, like I said, you can show off your understanding of your current experience level. Just like the animation one, you can also add your videos here. If you can add the link, they want you to add the link and a picture of like one of your scenes. So you don't have to implement the link because it's going to be in a PDF, remember. Danny's and Carlos' work looks so cool. These are some more recent examples from our current officers right now, me and my vice president. The previous ones, we were showing more of like an animation style and special effects. Here, showing more of a simulation. And you'll see in Kimothy's artwork, she's showing her, kind of showing off her environment, almost like a reel. But it's not completely rendered. Like you can see she has her blocked out. She has things colored and textured, but it's just her current skill level right now. So if you do have artwork, so you can do something similar to Timothy, where she does a show off, a quick reel, or you could do just pictures. Both are fine. And then for the artist statement, it's going to be 500 words. Tell your professor why you're looking to join the program. Talk about your experience, your journey, what you hope to get out of it. Don't see this as too formal, like I said. It's going to be your own personal take on this. So kind of show your passion for your work, like for your passion to do art. It isn't so it's not going to be like a classroom assignment, so you don't have to be too formal. Like do not like worry about like those stuff and just be yourself.
Some things to consider. Now that we've talked about all three programs, just some things to consider as you're applying for the portfolios. And make and do what you love within all these three areas. If you like certain mediums or part of the industry, please go ahead and do that. If you don't like a certain part of like a certain medium, a certain like department, or like a certain part of the entertainment industry, don't do that. Like for example, like I hate storyboarding with a passion. I did not include storyboarding in my portfolio because that was not something that interested me, or something that I was passionate about. If you like doing something, if you like character design, include that in your portfolio, because if you like something, you're most likely gonna be more good at it. Also, don't try to woo our faculty by creating grandiose artworks. And what I mean by that is like creating like a whole, like, for example, like in my case, like I did not create like this great storyboard because I wanted to show off to them that I wanted to do storyboarding. I did not do that. I chose pieces that are personal to me, pieces that I enjoyed making, and pieces that showed off my skills. at the time when I was applying. So again, make and do what you love when it comes to the industry, whether that be illustration, animation, or game. Also, there's a shit ton of people applying into the program. Not everyone is gonna get in the first time, and I know this sounds very negative, but that's the truth. The visual arts department gives our faculty members a certain amount of students that they can let into the program, because the truth of the programs and the whole reason why the portfolio exists in the first place is to give our students a more in-depth education. And the main reason why is because before the portfolios were a thing, everyone was allowed to be in the programs. However, that meant that classes would constantly be filled up. There would not be enough faculty members and stuff like that. So nowadays, that's the main reason why the portfolios exist, to give that education to basically the people who manage to get accepted. So again, there's a bunch of people who are going to be applying, so don't get discouraged if you don't get in the first time. Lots of people don't get in the first time, and they learn from those experiences, and they manage to get in the second time. Again, if you don't get in the first time, don't worry, there's 2 chances, 2 per program, which basically makes it a total of 6 times. You can apply 2 times for illustration, you can apply 2 times for animation, and then you can apply 2 times for a game. Again, like, be open, be flexible with the stuff that you want to do, and keep your options open. And also, not getting into the BFA is not the end of the world. It's something that we have to constantly emphasize to students. Just because you have a BFA does not guarantee you a job in the industry. There's lots more that goes into getting a job in the industry, and that's not necessarily only your degree, but also your portfolio, your resume, your cover letter, your skills, and what you can bring to a team. So BFA is not going to be a solves all, like a holy grail to getting into the industry. So please keep that in mind. What you put into your education is what you get back at the end of the day. I know some awesome people, some awesome alumni and speakers that did not get a BFA. I know one speaker that we had in PMC like 2 years ago. She's the webtoon artist for I'm the Grim Reaper, which is like one of the biggest like webtoon comics right now. She didn't even know the programs were a thing. Like, she didn't even know illustration was a program. And she graduated with a BA in studio arts, and now she's doing amazing stuff. So again, like, a BFA is not getting into the BFA is not the end of the world. So please keep that in mind. And also, you're not expected to know to know everything when you're applying for the programs. You're here to learn. If you don't know 2D animation or 3D software, you don't have to include that in your portfolio. Yes, it's nice, but at the end of the day, like, you don't have to include that. I didn't know about like 2D. I didn't know how to animate when I applied for animation, and I still got in. So just keep that in mind. Angela, I don't know if you want to talk about this part.
Yeah, I totally can. So basically, you can double major. So we do have a couple double majors. Teeny specifically, and is also an illustration and EA major. So you guys can definitely double major in them. You do still have to apply to both portfolios though. And you do still have to get into both. So that being said, just be mindful of, like, you do have to do both. Also, like, kind of just to reiterate a little bit of like what Ramon said, where it's you can take other classes and other programs. So for example, say you applied to illustration twice and you didn't get in, but you applied to like EAA and you got in even though you wanted to do illustration. There are a lot of classes that overlap with each other and a lot of classes that both majors take anyways. And even then, each BFA has an elective section in your TDA that you have to take anyways, and that elective is really free. So you're welcome to take any classes within the art department within that elective. So you're not limited to just illustration classes, just EAA classes, just game classes. There's a lot of overlap. So if you don't get into the BFA, you can still take a lot of these classes. But yeah, you can also apply to multiple programs. So like we said earlier, you can double major if you do decide to double major. You can apply to both like an EAA and like game portfolio in the same semester. You don't have to wait individual semesters to apply to them. But you should keep that in mind that if you do apply to both within the same semester, they should not be the same portfolio. You should cater each portfolio to that major. So your game portfolio shouldn't be the same as your EAA portfolio, and your EAA portfolio shouldn't be the same as your illustration, etc., etc. You can submit fan art, but they highly, highly, highly like discourage it. To be honest, I know multiple people that have gone away with submitting fan art and just not saying that it's fan art. So it is iffy. If you want us to be honest, I would say just stay away from it altogether just to be safe. And then it's also better to reach out to like an advisor if you're really not sure and you really want to include something. But yeah, you're also welcome to include like collaborative work. Just again, be mindful of like staying away. And if you do include collaborative work, you do have to indicate what you did and what you didn't do. So yeah, I'm gonna pass it to Sarah.
So just keep in mind, I think that plans change, things change, what your interests in do change. Like my whole portfolio was about animation, and now I have nothing to do with animation now. But getting into these is kind of like you're figuring things out. Like these programs will put you on a path of like multiple different things that you could do, and you'll kind of find out through this what you actually want to like focus in really, and kind of like focus in more on your own skills and what you want to do past college.
So yeah, besides that, if you want more resources, please scan this QR code for a full document of additional resources to help you prepare. This includes past PMC BFA portfolio info sessions. It also has our current faculty info session that happened like a few weeks ago. It has all the fall 2023 portfolio requirements for each major. It has a PDF in there. And it has some other resources for all three majors. So if you are interested, this QR code is going to be there. We're also going to share this presentation after this meeting if you want like review anything. But yeah, besides that,
Real quick, we
yes.
had an oversight. So just to rectify and clarify, the BFA portfolios this year is due on Monday, October 2nd, not October 3rd. Last year, October 3rd was a Monday. So just letting you guys know, it is due the Monday of October 2nd at 5 p.m. So we recommend you sending it in Sunday, October 1st. But yeah, just to clarify, I know there's some confusion about that. It is officially due October 2nd.
Oopsie, that's bad.
Our bad. Sorry,
Bad,
guys.
bad. Not as misinforming. No, just kidding. Yeah. Besides that, we're now gonna move on to Q&A. So if anyone has any, let me stop sharing screen for a sec so we can focus on Q&A. Cool.
We can also just answer the questions in the chat that haven't been answered yet,
Yes.
because we've been trying to answer them as we go. But someone asked, is it okay if we have our own original work, let's say a comic, but we reference an artist's style that we liked for the portfolio, like an art style study? That's fine.
Yeah, I would say that is fine. Yeah, if it's your own original work, that's completely fine. Sometimes like using reference is not bad. That's one thing I do want to like emphasize is that referencing something is not bad. As long as you don't take credit for the work that you're referencing, that's completely fine. But if it's your own original work and you're using like someone else's style, that's completely fine because we do get inspiration from different stuff at the end of the day. However, I would also like try to include, like, for example, if you can also like include like like artist style studies and stuff like that to study how different people do like their different styles. That's something that can definitely be in your portfolio as well. But yeah, it should be fine.
If you did want to add your comic, I wouldn't add the full comic. I would add panels, just to keep it shorter.
I think Yeah.
Someone said, is there a limit on how old the artwork can be?
To be honest, I think I added like some work from like high school when I applied. Don't be like me though.
The thing, they don't have to know.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, they're not gonna know when you made it, but just like as long as you feel like confident in that work, then you can add it.
Yeah.
Um,
As long as
so
that work is like shows what scalable you are. For example, like if you think that work represents you at that point in time, then go ahead. Like I submitted a work that I made in junior year in high school, and I still think it looks good for today. Yes, just like don't include like any dates. So for example, if your artwork has any signatures, get rid of the date. But yeah.
Formal answer is a year. That's what the advisors tell you. But you know, if it will represent you now, good to go.
What they don't know won't kill them, you guys, I promise you. Okay, what about fan comics like for games or shows? That falls under fan art, I believe.
Yeah.
So if you have absolutely nothing else, then yes, but I would strongly advise that you stay away from fan art and anything else. Like I said, sometimes people put fan art in there and they don't indicate that it's fan art, so they never know. Like faculty's not going to know every single like pop culture reference out there, but you never know, and I would just say stay away from it if you can.
if you're gonna include fan art, make sure it's like something obscure. But if it's something that is relatively well known, don't put it in. But if it's like something that literally no one knows about, you'll probably get away with it.
I did.
Yeah, Pedro did it. He put a bunch of stuff that was fan art, but literally no one knows what it is, so it just looked cool.
It's an independent comic book company.
Mm.
Not I remember I was looking at the faculty info session for illustration, and I saw a illustration piece that had Miku in it, and I was like,
They don't know Miku. That's so embarrassing for
it was
them,
there,
first
and
of all.
I think it was on the
Excuse
slide.
me, they don't know the queen? Are you kidding me?
It was on the slide that said like no fan art, and like Miku was there as like an example of what stuff to include. So I was like, oh.
That's so fun.
There's
Okay,
another.
that thing that Camilla just said in the chat, including Magnus Archives fan art, honestly, totally go for it. Because like something like that, it's like there's no official artwork. Everything is fan designed. So in that case, it's kind of original content. Like obviously you're basing it off of descriptions, but I mean there's no official design. So I've seen so many portfolio pieces that are Magnus Archives fan art, and that one's completely fine because it's your own design. So if
Yeah.
you do that, you're good.
If it's something like SpongeBob, obviously don't add it in there because everyone at some point, like, but if it's something like a very obscure anime manga that you watch in like the 60s, then that might be different, There's another question that says, if you decide to submit rigging and or a 3D character model, how would they like to see that shown? I believe, and sorry, confirming if I'm wrong, but like a video of like a turnaround would be for a character model, like a turnaround would be good. And then for rigging, sometimes there's like some videos where like they show like moving the arm, moving the torso and stuff like that. That would be good. To show off like the rigging and the mechanics of the body moving.
Yeah, that's correct. So you make a video. If you do rigging, you do show off the movements of the arms, the different kind of joints that you have. And then make sure your video is unlisted YouTube video. Include the link and a picture. So it's kind of like to show like what you are doing.
We also, in the question and answers, we also got a couple questions that wanted clarification on how many pieces of artwork to put on one slide, what counts as one piece of artwork. So I kind of just want to clarify that. So for the observational section, for entertainment art and for game, you can put pieces together that are the same. So like if you do a still life, you could put the final piece next to the sketch or the progress picture. But they don't want two completely different still lifes next to each other. That would be considered 2 different pages. For figure drawing, you are allowed, for example, let's say that you have a bunch of gestures that are all 1 to 2 minutes. You can put all of those together on the same page, because they're all related in some way. But you don't want to put 1 minute, 2 minute, however many gestures, and then like a finished piece right next to it. Those would be 2 different slides. So I hope that helps kind of clarify. You can get away with putting some similar pieces on the same slides, but generally they want you to break them up.
I'd say if you're gonna put 2 different pieces together, like, you're grabbing your gestures, like that's what I did. I had a lot of gestures, and then I just like compiled them all into one image, but they all look like they belong together. So you want to make sure that you edit it in a way that they all look like the same piece, and not like you just like stuck a bunch of stuff together. Yeah.
I know there's another question right now that popped up that says, don't know if this applies to anybody, but if you actually worked on some kind of established show, TV/comic, would you be able to include the work that you made for it? It depends on the portfolio that you're applying for. I know that I looked at the requirements that illustration was asking for, that Nicole was asking for, and it specifically asked for no fan art, no collaborative work. So that's something that I noticed in at least for illustration. I'm not sure if it's the same for entertainment, art, animation, and game. However, you also have to keep that in mind that sometimes specifying who worked on what is a little bit hard. And our faculty members don't know if you actually worked on like the stuff that you said you did. So that's why, like, if it's collaborative work, I would kind of stray away from it unless you can clearly tell who made what. So yeah, again, like if you have any questions, reach out to our advisors first, that type of stuff.
That being said, if it's a project that you worked on for like an established like IP, and it's say it's an illustration or it's a model that you solely worked on by yourself, even if it's for a collaborative IP, that's okay to include because you did it by yourself, if that makes sense. But if it's like, say, like a comic cover for like an established IP and you're like, oh, I just did the line work, I just was the colorist, I would not include that. But if you did the entire thing by yourself, that would be good to include. That makes sense.
Any other questions? Is there any faculty we can show our portfolio to for critique prior to submitting? Yes, we have, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but for illustration, we have Nicole Yang, who's the main one for illustration. For entertainment or animation, we have Kathy Bauer, and we also have Andy Fidak. And then for game, we have Andy Fidak again. We have Carol Ashley, and we have Eric Carpenter for game. So you can reach out to any of them. I know right now getting like appointments is a little bit hard, but there's always a chance. You can always like email them to see what their office hours are. Right now it's a very hard time to meet up with an advisor because it's peak portfolio session season. But yeah, those are the main faculty members that you can reach out, since they are the ones that are actually reviewing the portfolios this year.
Also, I know we got this question earlier in the chat about making appointments with faculty advisors. If you're a transfer student or you're a freshman that like doesn't know where to make those appointments, if you go to your student portal, so the same way that we showed you guys in like the presentation to submit your portfolio, you go to your student portal, under that same like Titan Online, there should be an option that says Titan Net. If you click that, Titan Net will direct you straight to like the appointment making system at CSUF. So through that, you can make appointments with like GE counselors, with faculty advisors, and you can see like what their office hours are and everything too. So in case you're wondering where you can make your appointments, it's called TitanNet, and you can get to it through your CSUF Titan portal. Yeah. And then someone asked, could you include pixel character animations? I don't know if anyone else has anything to say about this, but this is a great example of like, oh, if you don't know how to 3D model and you're applying for a game, this would go into your like artist technical like skills at the very end.
There's another question that says, I have some 3D work, but it's pretty basic. Is it better to include really basic slash kind rough 3D work for game art, or would it be better to show some slightly more advanced non-3D work? Sarah, do you have any opinions about this?
Let me see. Rough 3D work, that is okay. They said, if you show like make sure you have good typology is what they want you to show off. So, if you think your 3D work is a bit too rough, just show off like the typology of it. Show that it's clean, that you understand that it needs to be like squares and everything is working out, like no holes or anything like that. It should be fine.
Taking pictures of the wireframe also helps too. You can also show that too, but it's okay if it's basic.
I also heard from, I believe it was either Carol or Andy, said that they really just want to make sure that you're not gonna go into the program and then drop out of it because 3D is so hard. So I would still put that in there even if it is rough, because it at least shows that you've made an attempt, and that like this is something that you want to do.
Just a reminder that we do have 6 minutes left for this info session. So if you have any questions, please let them in. You can always reach out in our specific Discord service if you ever have any more questions after this info session. But yeah, we do have 6 minutes left. So if you have any outstanding questions, please let us know.
We should play that like Jeopardy like music that do 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 do. We should do that. Someone asked, would feet and hands go together on a slide? If anybody has input.
I'm pretty sure it would work. They're both like limbs. I was trying to think of like a good word for it. Yeah, as long as you show like the construction of the feet and hands. I know some people tend to like have like a for example, for figure drawing in this case, because I'm guessing it would fall more under the figure drawing part of either animation or game. Most people tend to do like a slide full of like figure, like of actual humans and people. And then some people also do like a slide of like hand studies or like feet studies and stuff like that. Again, you want to make sure the anatomy is correct. You want to make sure everything looks nice. Especially for like hands and feet, which tend to be like harder to like draw and stuff like that. So you want to make sure like you can definitely include them within the same slide because they're similar structures.
Somebody asked, where can I find the Discord link? Is it on the club's Instagram? If the presidents of each club respectively would like to drop either the Instagram title, your guys' Instagram account, or your Discord link, that might be helpful for everybody.
I'm gonna do that right now.
I'm literally gonna do that right now too.
Something to add for that hands and feet thing, like it just depends on how much work you want on each slide. So remember, each slide is one submission. So If you want to do one of just hands and just feet, you can do that. If you want to add them together and add other separate work, you can also do that too.
Someone asked, is showing the topology of a 3D prop important, or should I just submit the image of the prop that shows what the finished product looks like with textures, lighting, etc.? What's it called? I would say that if your topology is good, you want to show it. If your topology is not good, do not show it, in my opinion. Sarah, I don't know if you have the same thought. But that's what Andy used to tell me.
But the typology?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, only show it if you think your typology is good. If it's messy, no.
Hide the bad
Agree.
topology with lighting.
They only need to see the rendered.
Dude, one time Eric was like, if you ever see a model that isn't lit properly, it's because it had bad topology or modeling techniques. So I was like, oh, that's crazy because I light all of my models the same way because I don't want them to see the backside of it. Someone asked, how do we show scripts or programs for game animation?
That is a very good question.
I have an answer for that. So for that one, how Eric has been telling us to do it in game production classes, so I'm assuming it's very similar for like portfolio, is that you can actually just take a screenshot of your scripting if you're using Unreal Engine. We use Unreal Engine in game anyways, so preferably if you're scripting in Unreal Engine, you show the script in Unreal Engine. If not, you can screenshot like your actual code. And then if possible, have like a little video showing what your code does. So like kind of just screen record your thing and add it kind of to a real, like, this is my scripting, this is what the result is. I don't know if Sarah has anything to add to that specifically.
No, same. I was gonna say the same thing.
There's another question in the Q&A that says, would you suggest incorporating a creative introduction and conclusion page for the portfolio? I don't exactly know what you mean by creative introduction and conclusion part. If you mean like a written part to your portfolio, at the end of the day, yeah, you can unmute if you need to clarify.
Okay, hi, sorry. The what I was trying to say was like kind of like you know how like in like slides it's like, okay, here's what's the slide gonna be talking about, like almost like your name, but it's like I guess what I've seen in like professional work is that they've had like the name of the artist and what you're specifically like interested in, and then but it's like they show a little bit of like some creative work. It's just more of like a, hey, welcome to my portfolio sort of thing.
I would say you can, but you also have to keep in mind that our faculty is going to be looking at hundreds of portfolios this semester. So what's it called? They're only going to be looking mainly at the contents of your portfolio, which in this case are going to be the drawings, the artwork. So maybe creating like a creative introduction and conclusion page is not really that necessary, because they might just like skim over it basically.
Yeah, I'd probably advise against that because the reason why you see that in online portfolios, that's for branding, and we're not really doing branding for the portfolio for school where you're just showing your skills. So that's like more of a professional portfolio thing, where you're doing it for the purpose of branding online, not so much to like showcase your skills. So I'd probably skip that because you'd have to use one of your pieces to do that, and it might not be such a good idea. Instead, you want to focus on the pieces that go into the portfolio.
Thank you.
And last question, so we can end, is for entertainment, art, and animation, which studio classes should you take first? Because they say take pre-production first and then production, and how heavy is the animation production studio class? Honestly, we do not have like I know the path that you take in animation has changed over the years. So every catalog year is going to have like a different path that you should take. What I would recommend is taking storyboarding before you take pre-production. You should also take like some other classes like character animation before you take pre-production. I believe that I think the prerequisites for character animation is you should have taken pre-production and production, but I know our faculty members are currently changing that track, so there's like a better structure. But if you can, I would take storyboarding, I would take character animation before you take pre-production. And if you can, I will also take character design, but I'm not sure if they offer character design.
Is that allowed? Because I think most of those classes actually the pre-requirement is that you took pre-production and production. Because for storyboarding, I only got into it because I had those classes beforehand. So yeah, because I think you have to take, because storyboarding is a special studies class, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
As least at least as it is now. So I think you need like a certain amount of units. So, but you definitely have to take pre-production before production, because pre-production is a pre-requirement, not production. So you want to check out which classes have pre-requirements so that you're on track to graduation, because otherwise you might end up in your last semester and realize like, oh, actually I can't take this class because it needed a pre-requirement. But yeah.
If it was a perfect world and the structure of our program was better,
Yeah, if it was a perfect world, you could take storyboarding anytime, right?
but yeah, I believe those 3 classes I mentioned are production and pre-production are the prereqs for that class. But in case you can't take those ones, I would recommend taking life drawing for animation, principles of animation as well. So ones. And also I forget if there's like you should also take perspective. So whenever you're doing like your environments and stuff like that, your layouts and stuff like that, perspective is also very good. I forget if we have like a background design class, like environment class here.
There is one, it's called VisDev and Environment. VisDev of background painting, the professor that teaches that is Marvin Chow. It's a requirement for illustration students, but you can also take it as the animation student, and it can fulfill, if you have the old catalog, like, because there's like differences in catalogs. So in the older catalogs, you had to take 4 sections of special studies, and they really didn't specify which ones you had to take. So I believe you can use that as one of your special studies for animation, but you have to ask for it because it's not like an official thing. If you have one of the newer catalogs, they do specify which classes you have to take for special studies. So it sucks to suck, you don't get to you don't get to choose. Yeah, but if you're like an old student like me, you have more freedom.
Yeah, hopefully that answered your question.
Also, just
Yeah.
just a quick note. For the second part of their question, how heavy is the animation production studio class? It definitely can be heavy. But at least, I don't know if this goes for all the professors, but at least for James Richardson, if you want to write that name down, he is allowing you to form groups for his production class. So you don't have to do your whole animation on your own. If you want to just do breakdowns or background art for someone else's, or vice versa, if you want to have other people do that for you, you can do that as well. And it will definitely take some stress off of you when you take that class. So yeah.
Not new.
Tyler
They
recommends
didn't do that for me. I had to make the whole animation by myself.
Bro, Sarah just suffered.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
So
Kathy
funny.
Bauer also allows teams
Yeah.
for production.
I think it's
It's
kind of
another
a
one
new
to take.
thing, but it's
Sad.
very nice.
Also, if you do take James Richardson, and you do like a music oriented animation, in production, they tell you to get rid of the music. So I wouldn't start off with pre-production with music in your animation.
They'll only let you do the production with music if you own the rights to the music. If you don't, then they'll say no.
And they don't tell you that in pre-production.
They really don't.
Yeah, a lot of people started off had their whole like animation based around like some musics, only to have to change that when they went to production.
Yeah, and the other thing is that in production they might ask you to make your storyboard shorter so that it's easier to animate. So if you're taking pre-production and they tell you that the minimum is 2 minutes, then stick to that 2 minutes, because when you go into production, they will make you make it shorter than that. So don't have a grand old 6 minute long storyboard, because they'll just make you throw it in the trash for you the next class, and then you're just gonna have to start from zero. So yeah.
Besides that, I think that's it for our portfolio info session. We recorded this session, so we'll be posting that on YouTube, and we'll be sharing the links so you can review it at any time. If you have friends that couldn't make it here, also make sure to share that with them. And this we'll be making this presentation available for all of y'all to review whenever you want. But besides that, thank you so much for being here. We wish you the best of luck on your portfolios. You can do it. If you don't make it in, we'll fight for you. But yeah, we love and appreciate every single one of you, and we wish you the best.
Y'all are gonna kill it. Y'all are gonna do so good.
Guys
Bye,
got this. Don't
everybody.
stress too much.
Don't stress. You guys got this. Y'all gonna eat this up. Y'all gonna slay.
Also get some sleep.
Oh yeah, don't pull an all-nighter for this. Trust me. Been there.
Don't submit 5 minutes before.
Don't do that either. Slay. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.